Today, I want to take my freshly built Land Rover Discovery. I'm going to drive 1,000 miles around my home state, try to find some places that I've never been before. Oh yeah, this is my first solo trip as well, so this should be quite the adventure. Today on Dirt Lifestyle, we're in my backyard, sort of. We're actually at a place in Washington that I have always wanted to explore, that I have never been, and we're gonna explore the North Cascades area of Washington State. The Northern Cascades, in my opinion, are the epitome of what comes to mind when someone refers to the Pacific Northwest. This area had a giant influence on the beaver fur trade of the mid-1800s, and the Treaty of 1818 had a lot to do with why this place is shaped the way that it is. This treaty was intended on settling a dispute between the United States and the United Kingdom over the rights to resources in this area, like fur, as well as finally establish borders for this part of the country. On paper, the borders are pretty clear, but in real life, drawing a straight line across endless mountain peaks is a little fuzzy. So during the late 1850s, members of the U.S. Boundary Commission explored the border region in an attempt to identify which mountains, which rivers, and which lakes belonged to which country. One party of the commission was led by explorer Henry Custer, and they explored the northern district of the park, publishing the report in the 1860s. Henry Custer was so dumbfounded by the beauty of this area, he said, and I quote, "must be seen, cannot be described." And to be completely honest, after trying to film this area, I could not agree with him more. This area around the visitor center is absolutely beautiful. There's some places that I've seen like on postcards and whatnot, so that tells you how beautiful it is. But I can't wait to go to the next spot, which is like Diablo Canyon, Diablo Lake, something like that, because the pictures that I've seen of that looks like all the water is turquoise. It looks spectacular, so we're gonna head there now. Now, I didn't know this until I got there, but this highway snakes its way through 3 dammed reservoirs, not one. So it goes through George Lake, Diablo Lake, and Ross Lake. And trying to capture what this place looks like on film is honestly a fool's errand. There were moments when I would look at the screen on my camera, I would look at the terrain around me, and then back at the screen on the camera, and I just felt like it was almost as if the camera was shooting a different location altogether. Henry Custer said, "must be seen, can't be described," and you can quote me as saying, "must be seen, can't be filmed." It's almost as if it's too big to fit in the camera, which is kind of frustrating, to be honest. And on top of that, I felt as if the weather was pushing me through. The wind was absolutely ripping through this area, blowing my camera gear all over the place. I was having a great time seeing how beautiful everything was, but having a miserable time trying to combat the elements. And I knew that very soon it was going to be time to find camp. What do you guys think? Was today's success? I think it was. It was beautiful. There's no doubt about it. And now I'm camping. I mean, that's a success. So I don't know. It's weird being by yourself and just talking to a camera in the middle of the woods. If I'm being completely honest. But there's pros and cons to everything, including solo camping. So I think for tonight, I'm going to keep this short. I'm just going to eat my steak, I'm gonna crawl up in the rooftop tent, and have hopefully a uneventful night's sleep. Good morning. Sometimes I skip breakfast. Today's not going to be one of those times. I'm hungry. It is cold. I've been camping for the last like 7 weeks, something like that. I've been camping a lot over the last like couple months. We did a big cross-country road trip in our RV, and we hauled this behind it, and so we went camping in Virginia and Montana and North Carolina and Colorado. It was amazing, but it was hot. It was very hot. And I gotta be honest, it feels good to get back into the cold. I love it up here in the Pacific Northwest because it's towards the end of summer, for sure. I shouldn't say toward. It's after Labor Day. It's the end of summer. But it's just nice to get out of the heat because I can bundle up all I need to. And I zipped in some of the insulation into this rooftop tent last night, had a heated blanket, and I was perfect. But now that I'm out of the tent, it's cold. So I'm gonna put on a coat and we're gonna chop up some potatoes. I think I'm gonna make myself a nice breakfast. The not so secret recipe for a dirt lifestyle breakfast is as follows. Get the cast iron pan nice and warm and throw some fat in there. We need a lot of olive oil, a little bit of butter. A good mixture to me tastes the best. Chop up your potatoes into little cubes. The smaller the better, it makes it cook a little bit faster. And then dump all that into your cast iron. I personally don't like to add any seasoning until after the potatoes are cooked. And then once you see them start to soften and crispen around the outside edges, it's time to add a little bit of seasoning. I use salt, pepper, a little bit of turmeric, some allspice, and some Johnny's seasoning salt. Stir it up real good, make sure that everything's getting brown and crispy around the edges before you pull the potatoes back off. I find it a lot easier to cook eggs on a cast iron when there's a ton of fat in the pan, so I add a little bit of fat from the night before in order to give it a good layer on the bottom so the eggs don't just stick to the cast iron. Cook the eggs however you like them, dump them on top of your potatoes, and you're done. This is wonderful. And if you ever go camping with me, I'll make you some. I like to share this meal. I like my eggs a little bit yolky. Kind of runs the yolk down onto the browns. Woo. A little bit extra salt, a lot of extra pepper. It is outstanding. Plans for today. Where are we going? I was looking at Onyx last night. I want to end up in Cle Elum Sunday. So I think the goal is to be in the Chelan area setting up camp by the end of the day. So I've got quite a ways south to go. We've got a really good stretch of dirt road this morning before we get to the next town. And it's shaping up to be outstanding. I mean, look at this. There's like, you can just barely hear like a little bit of wind going across the treetops, but I don't feel any wind down here. It's actually warming up. Either it's warming up or I'm warming up. Probably both. But yeah, I haven't seen a single bug. It's just, this is one of those like late summer trips that you cross your fingers for. You never know up here in the Pacific Northwest if you're going to get rain or shine, no matter what time of year it is. So I'm just very thankful that it's cool, it's not buggy, and there's no rain. It's gorgeous. This is my favorite part of overland travel. We woke up, we don't know exactly where we're going, but we know a general area. So I'm gonna go find a place to camp. We're gonna do what we can. If there's hurdles along the way, we'll change routes. We're gonna be flexible. We're gonna have fun. We're gonna see the beauty of the Pacific Northwest. And I'm fortunate enough to be in the position that I can share it with you. fascinating transition that happens when you go east of the Cascade Mountain Range, where you just go from tons of trees to all of a sudden there's a line in the sand and it turns into almost desert. It's very dry, very arid plain type territory. It's gorgeous, and all of a sudden the sun comes out. As we make our way back to Winthrop, I need to pull over, air up my tires so we can hit the highway because we've got a pretty long drive down to Chelan. Well, this is a huge bust. It's a huge bummer too. This is so beautiful. The weather is perfect. It's blue skies, but I am looking at active fires. This is online. People are saying that they've got all this taken care of, but clearly they don't. And even if they did say that I could go up there and camp in this little stretch, I don't really want to camp next to fires that I mean, I can see smoke and I can see where they're still putting out fires. So the last thing you want is to be camping near something like that, even if you're allowed to, and then have a fire break out of control again while you're up there and have to get evacuated and all that. So what I think we're going to do is, instead of trying to do this little stretch of land between Chelan and Leavenworth, we're going to go down to Wenatchee. There's some mountains down there. It should be beautiful. Hopefully we can get away from these fires. Eastern Washington has just been devastated this year. I feel like I have been trying to drive this stretch between Chelan and Leavenworth all summer, but fires have absolutely devastated the area and it's been closed for months. But they say that when a door closes, a window opens, and I've been wanting to explore a little bit more around the Wenatchee Mountains as well. I believe that adventure is everywhere. We just need to go out and find it. Coolest things about overland travel is you get to run into things that were unexpected. One of the worst things about overland travel is sometimes you run into things that were unexpected. This next stretch doesn't look like much on camera, and for the right rig, it really isn't. But this was super dangerous for a vehicle as tall as mine. Right before I got to this section, I ran into a subscriber who warned me about it, told me it was super dangerous, but I really didn't want to turn around and I had to see for myself. This first section was narrow, but it wasn't really that big of a deal, and I thought that's what I was warned about. But once I got up and I saw the actual obstacle he was telling me about, I could see why he was concerned. It's gonna be hard to see on camera, but as you go up this next narrow section, it leans you really far over to the passenger side. And I've been in a few rollovers and I've avoided quite a few more, and I promise when I tell you this is a close one, I mean it. To keep the front driver's side tire from getting light on me, I filled up the passenger side rear airbag to about 100 pounds of pressure, and I dumped all the air out of the driver's side airbag. Because if that front tire gets light, this thing's for sure gonna go over. I've driven some of the hardest trails in America, and this is not one of them. But when I tell you that something this tall has no business being on something this leany, I mean it. I used all the tools at my disposal, I was super cautious going up, and we made it up just fine. Now that we've made it through the fun stuff, it's time to get back to the mission at hand. I need to make some dinner, I want to set up camp, and I want to take in these sights because it's my last night on the trail. We've actually covered a ton of miles on this trip, but it's not over yet. Good morning. It is beautiful out here. Take a look at this. This was a lot of fun. You know, I liked doing the solo thing more than I thought I would, but that said, I miss my family, I miss my friends. It would be so great to share something like this with the people you like. So I don't know how much more solo adventuring you're going to see me do in the future. Who knows? Maybe you'll see me do it again. But there's a big risk and it weighs on you. If you break down in the middle of nowhere, that's a problem. Luckily, I have a little satellite communications thing, so I could message my wife and have her send help. But you know, it's just, there's inherent risk that comes with doing this kind of thing by yourself. So I would weigh those pros and cons before you see Nate do this and decide that you want to do it too. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I had a really good time making it, and now I'm going to solo my way back down to civilization. I'm going to do it without cameras. I want to have a little bit more time by myself. I've got a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old at home. It's rare that I get this kind of quiet, and so I'm going to enjoy this last little stretch alone. So I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.